Herringbone, Chapter 2. Moosehead Lake, Maine. Will wandered for maybe 15 hours before being rescued. It was hard to tell time in the dark. It might have been longer, but when help eventually came, it came in the shape of blue and red sirens as paramedics, local police, and eventually the FBI poured over his clothes, his skin, his memories, all parsed out and sifted through like hay. Not very neatly, but thorough. Because he had long discarded most of his borrowed clothes, he was nearly hypothermic by the time a weekend hunter found him. Frostbite hemmed his fingers and toes, his eyes were glassy with dehydration, and his throat burned with cold and hunger. They let him rest after processing. They let him call home after interrogating him next to a sleepy-eyed public defendant. He kept to his story, trimmed down to the bone of plausibility. They fell from the cliff fighting Francis, and he survived by mere chance. He had no recollection of how he had crossed state lines, had seen no one when he woke up half naked in the woods. He found an uninhabited cabin and foraged for food until luck led one of his hiking excursions to the man who rescued him and drove him to Wolf's Corner. Maybe Lecter survived, patched him up, and dumped him once he became dead weight. Maybe someone else did that, one of his many elusive accomplices. Or maybe Will stitched himself up in a bout of despair. It was hard to tell. Drugs, pain, and shock had done a number on him, warping his delicate mind into unreliable shards. In the end, it was his body that acquitted him, the ragged scar tissue in his collarbone and cheek the work of an unskilled man in a hurry, his memories hazed with the trauma of surviving murder, his voice shrill with the horror of starvation and isolation. They let him go, first from emergency care, then from the local police station. State police gave him a cell phone, prescriptions, a stack of business cards with names to call once he settled back home. The FBI put him on a flight to Maine with the intention to visit him within 2 weeks. Will acquiesced blindly, feigning the kind of abandonment that comes when one believed all to be doomed and cannot yet grasp he has lived to tell the tale. Shell-shocked, meek. A little boy lost and found. Jack would come and the press would come, Will thought, as Pittsburgh grew smaller and smaller from his window seat. It did not concern him in the least. He had survived a dragon, and a monster had slain one and escaped the other. He had wrung his new destiny, earned the mellow retirement that comes with great sacrifice. He would soar just like his airplane over the terror and the abnormal, the grooves of madness hiding in the Pennsylvanian woods. He would go back home, to marshmallows and dogs and kids' laughter over fake blood. He would conquer it this time, the promise of eternity devoted to being content and wholesome and safe. Finally settling, Will stretched his legs and thought of Molly's sweet voice, shaken and so relieved as they talked briefly over the phone. He thought of Hannibal's eyes, inscrutable and so very alive under the purple sky. How silence had done them good, had made them certain and strong in ways he couldn't fully fathom yet, but warmed him still, made him sit up straighter in his seat. It hit Will then that he was not sure who the they were in his train of thought, if him and Molly, or Hannibal and himself. For the first time since the fall, Will felt doubt, and right after it, its twin, fear. Molly picks him up from the airport. She looks the same. She's bundled in a red sweater with white reindeer, her hair in a messy ponytail. Thanksgiving is right, Will surmises, waiting for a joyful memory associated with the occasion to ping. When none comes, he belts his best smile and rushes to Molly outside security. They hug. She smells the same, chalk with a hint of cedar. She's bitten her nails down to the quick, if just now or over a period of time it was impossible to tell. She is skinnier, though, he notes on closer inspection. Her blue eyes are papering with tears. I knew you'd come back. I just knew it. You'd never leave us. Not you, my sweet man, she says over and over again as she takes his arm, weaves him out of the airport and into the parking lot. Wally is waiting at home with the dogs, she interjects, all quick and strained and brimming up with hopefulness. Will tries to hold on to his smile as he slips down the passenger seat, his face throbbing where she touched his scar and said, "What did that horrible man do to you?" Will is fairly certain she means Hannibal. He doesn't tell her it was his bidding, the bad stitching, nor that it was his fault, the vicious stabbing. He vows to never say his name again from there on out. The same as before, only better now that you are free, he reminds himself as they step into the driveway and 6 dogs bound wildly to maul him after such long absence. Wally trails behind them shyly, mittens and wool cap on, clean of any fake fangs or blood. Will hides his disappointment by awkwardly patting the boy on the shoulder. After dinner, Will lies down, on his bed, in his sheets, his shorts, his shirt, his pants, next to his wife, and across the hall from their son, and talks about renovations to their home, plans for their Thanksgiving meal. Mundane stuff, the stuff psychiatrists would have told Molly is safe to discuss with a trauma victim easing back into the flow of life. Will nods and replicates his best smile from the airport, all the while a mounting breathlessness climbing in his chest. Before it can escalate into a full-blown condition, he holds Molly's face close and drags her into a forceful kiss. She half gasps, half laughs, and it is a familiar sound, comfortable, if not exactly comforting. She falls asleep quickly after that, head on his shoulder, hand gripping his waist. Will can feel joy and relief pour out of her in droves, slightly suffocating in their intensity and demand. Once he is sure the house is firmly asleep, Will slips into the bathroom and strips off his clothes. He steps into the empty tub and cuddles up in the dark, attempting to lull away whatever is clawing at his belly. It rains and snows consistently once he arrives. He stands on the porch at first light and tells himself he did not bring winter here, that severe weather means marshmallows and family gatherings around his out-of-tune piano where they exchange grandiose tales of gore and fright. No, that's not right. He doesn't have a piano in this house, his house, no, their house, and they never did trade on the macabre, Molly and Wally, he means. No, that's someone else's life, someone else's memories. Should he mourn them? Will wonders as he takes a sip of his coffee, black, no sugar, maybe a splash of whiskey soon just to wake him up, to make him feel steadier. It's been 3 weeks since he came back home. Surely no one would fault him for a good-natured swig. His father used to call them that after a long day's work, a good-natured swig. And look what it got him. Bad breath, an empty wallet, and stage 4 liver cancer. No whiskey then. Will tips his mug into the ground and watches the white snow turn into brown slush. They don't speak about what happened between their last goodbye at the hospital and his miraculous homecoming 10 weeks later. It's a gap that silence can patch up, Will thinks. Heal them the way it did before. Not between them, but the other them, the them that was never truly a them. Not a legitimate one like the Grahams, anyway, a them sanctified by marriage, approved by all. Will is thankful, really, in the end, that they, the Grahams, don't speak of it at all, of the void that could so easily turn into a black hole if they kept on feeding it. Yes, Will hums as he regards the winter wonderland sprawling outside his kitchen window. This is better. This tacit agreement about talking only of memories shared. Soon will be Christmas. Lights will need hanging, trees wreathing, presents wrapping. Marshmallows will be crisped on the fireplace. We will be a family again, he tells himself, like the happy family we always were. We will make more newly improved happy memories, and then we will go on, thriving, onwards, be happy like happy people are. Purposefully, he walks to the pantry and busies himself with pulling ingredients to bake graham crackers from scratch, accessing a muscle memory from another time, another person, a silent bystander who, from a distance, looked as spices were mixed in a wood-paneled kitchenette. It seems harmless enough. Nightmares set in on the 1-month mark. At first they are timid, broken little things that make sleep a touch harder without a muscle relaxant or mild soporific. But quickly they grow roots and shake him awake every hour or so. Molly finds him in the strangest of places, not sleepwalking exactly, but not fully conscious either. The bathtub, the attic, twice the kitchen floor, once in a hallway closet. He hides in the dark and whimpers as if wounded. His temperature shoots up and he sweats through his clothes. That is how much stress his body is under when he dreams. Molly kisses him, always so kind and careful, never pushing for anything beyond the paltry semblance of domestic intimacy. There is no sex between them, only this, her gentle caretaking. Will does not know when he reverted to be a limp beast again. But here, they are. At least his condition keeps the FBI away, keeps him safe in his happy family snow globe. Sometimes he overhears Molly on the phone, her voice brooking no arguments with those who hound Will for his attention. Silently he cherishes her gatekeeping, the do-or-die way she dedicates herself to his recovery. He doesn't tell Molly, but by the second week he has found a way to alleviate the night terrors. He walks to the living room and presses his naked body against the icy window panes. It is not the cold that soothes him, it is the belief that this ritual can bring change, can function as a convoluted echolocation that will draw peace to him. He has no rational words to explain this irrational behavior, so he cannot share it with Molly. She could not understand what is mysterious to him as well. So he keeps it all to himself, knowing that she will never guess it if he does not speak it. Sometimes Will wakes up shivering on the porch, his bare shoulders and feet sprinkled with fresh snow. After a month goes by, Will is afraid of what he is wishing for, what he is trying to lure with his vulnerable body. He is afraid, most of all, of being heard. So he buys a new lock for the bedroom and begs Molly to keep the key overnight. He suffers through the nightmares like a saint suffers through martyrdom, teeth gritted and thankful for being given the chance to touch something unfathomable without having yet died.